All right, good evening and welcome to the City of Sunbury Council meeting. It is August 21st, 2024, 7:30 p.m. Would you please join me in a moment of silent prayer and the Pledge of Allegiance? Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Mayor St. John.
Here.
Mr. Capel.
Here.
Mr. Neff.
Here.
Mr. Grumney.
Here.
Mr. Martin.
Present.
Ms. Cooper. Here. Ms. Dreyer is absent. 6 present.
Right, thank you. The City Council met on August 7th, 2024, and the minutes are included in your packet. Can I have a motion for approval on the minutes?
So moved.
Got a motion by Mrs. Cooper and a second by Mr. Capel. Discussion?
Grumney.
Oh, thank you. Mr. Gumney. Roll call.
Ms. Cooper. Yes. Mr. Grumney.
Yes.
Mr. Neff.
Yes.
Mayor St. John.
Yes.
Mr. Capel.
Yes.
Mr. Martin.
Abstain.
5 yeas.
All right, we're on the visitor section. This update is related to the electric aggregation program, and we have Fritz Drake from Scioto Energy. Welcome back.
How you doing there?
Good. How are you?
I'm all right. Mayor St. John, members of council, Administrator Hennessy, and members of the community. My name is Fritz Drake. I'm here on behalf of Scioto Energy. We're Ohio's largest energy brokerage and consulting firm. And since about last August, we've served as advisors to the city, most notably on their electric aggregation program. And so I'm here tonight to just give a one-year report on the program. And you should have this sheet in front of you that I passed out. And if you don't mind, I'll just start at the left at the top and move across, because some of this stuff may be a little foreign to people. But so the contract information, the supplier is a company called Energy Harbor, which since then has been bought by a company named Vistra, but that really has no material effect on this. The start and end date of the program, it started in August of 2023, and it ends in May of 25. And the reason we ended it then, we got what amounts to about a 21-month deal, is because every year in June, on June 1st, the utility changes its what's called its price to compare. And so we always want to know what that is before we get in another contract, because there are times when the utility rate is better than the rate community can get from a third-party supplier. The contract price for this deal for the city, 6.48 cents. And the invoice price is 6.48 cents. So let's move over to the next column where it's the utility information. Of course, the utility is AEP Ohio. The account number, it's a residential program. The total number of kilowatt hours. So the average household uses an average of 800 kilowatt hours per month in electricity. Now in the summer, that's probably a little higher because you're running your air conditioning. In the winter, it's probably a little lower because you're relying more on your furnace. The rate that AEP was charging last year when we did this deal and got a 6.48 cent rate was almost 10 point, I can't read, is it 10.3, 10.299?
That's right.
Okay, so there was quite a delta in there. So the bottom line is the residents save money. So let's move over to the annual cost analysis. So the cost for generation from the utility was, again, glasses are failing me. Is that $988.67? It looks like. Or,
Yep.
Okay, and the supplier cost was $622.08. So the residents paid the $622. If they'd have been with the utility, they'd have paid the $968. Okay, and that comes out to about a $366 savings, which is 37.08%. And one thing to remember is that the component of an electron, it's made up basically of, there's the generation side, and then there's the transmission and distribution side. The generation side in Ohio is deregulated. That's the one area we can impact. We can't impact the transmission and distribution side because that's the regulated side. The utilities won't give that up. Okay, when aggregation first started in Ohio, that pie was broken down to about 70% generation, 30% transmission. Well, the utilities are pretty strong politically, okay? And they have a lot of lobbyists that they pay to influence our lawmakers. That figure has now dropped from 70% to about 55, between 55 and 60%. And now the distribution and transmission is in the 40 to 45% range. So they've been clawing back. Hopefully that clawing will stop and these programs will still be effective. So down below the usage history, again, we calculated on the average home using 800 kilowatt hours a month. And you can see that the monthly usage across the board at the bottom is 800, 800. The load factor, there's no load factor for a residential account. A load factor is only applies to like big accounts or bigger accounts, I should say. The cutoff to get in an aggregation program, and that could include a small business, is 700,000 kilowatt hours a year. So anything above that would have a load factor, I guess is what I'm saying. Okay. And then you will see the savings analysis, the 12-month history, and what was charged each month or what. So if you'd have been on the utility in September of 23, you'd have paid, is that $90? Well, if you're on the supply, if you're getting your generation from a third-party supplier like Energy Harbor, you paid $52 a month. So you can see across the board, there's always some savings. So that's really about all I had. Daryl told me I had 10 minutes, and I assume I beat the clock. And if you guys have any questions, I'll certainly be glad to answer them. I like to come to these meetings with these kind of numbers, let me tell you. So,
Good numbers.
Who did the bills come from?
the bills come from AEP, and they will have a line item in it that'll say you're getting your generation from Energy Harbor at the rate of 6.48%. 48 cents, excuse me.
Okay.
So yes, the bills come from AEP.
It's segregated out where it'll say like transmission cost.
Correct.
And then generation cost or
Correct.
supplier.
Yes, there's a little box
Right.
right there. It's,
Yeah.
I think it's on the first page of the bill. It's either on the first or second, but I think it's the first page of the bill on the left-hand side. And so right now too, to just understand, the price to compare has come down pretty considerably from that 10.3 cents. It's now 7.7. So it's closer to what you guys have, but you guys are still winning. So it won't be the savings won't be as great from June 1st of this year until May of next year, because that price from AEP has come down. But the city has a fixed price. So your price, the only way your price will ever change, and it's in every contract, is if there's a rule change by the PUCO or something of that nature that unfortunately we can't do anything about.
Still winning.
Yep,
Yes.
still winning. And the only other thing I would add is that, so this year we will jump on aggregation a little earlier than we did last year so that we can get the program in place before I think June 1, right? Is it?
Yeah, and we should know or have a pretty good idea what the utility rate will be after the first of the year. We'll have some kind of an idea. Last thing we want to do is put the city in a program that costs more than what they could get from the utility, and we don't have a problem, if it's not favorable. I like sleeping at night, and I can't sleep if I know one of my clients is not getting the best deal they can. So,
Right. Thank you.
All right.
For being here. Any comments or questions from City Council?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Drake.
Okay, we'll see you. Thanks. Sure, I'll be in touch.
All right, we're on to the visitor section. Are there any visitors that would like to speak with City Council? Come on up. Welcome.
Welcome. Good evening, Mayor St. John, and council. For those who don't know me, my name is Brian D'Amico. I'm the treasurer and entertainment director for the Big Walnut Civic Association. On behalf of the members of the Big Walnut Civic Association, our president, Teresa Dronsfield, our vice president, Cindy Ernst, I would like to thank you for the opportunity to speak here this evening. Tonight, we wanted to come to council to discuss the future of the Big Walnut Civic Association. But before we do that, we wanted to give you a little history about us so you have some perspective. Teresa, our president, up to my left, she had the idea to form the Big Walnut Civic Association after organizing the first Sunbury Sizzle and Sounds way back in 2010. After the first Sizzle in 2011, Cindy joined, Teresa and others came on board to assist with the running of Sizzle. After that, it became apparent that Sizzle was something the community really enjoyed. From a legal perspective, the Big Walnut Civic Association was then created. I joined in the fun of that as well, and as the entertainment director for Sizzle in 2015, and most recently took over as treasurer of the and on the board as of 2022 once Kathy Belcher retired. We are very proud of the events that we have participated in, to include Movies in the Square, the community Easter egg hunt, meeting the candidates during elections, the 4th of July parade, the 4th of July fireworks, and Sizzle as well. Some of the events include, some of the past events included the Chiefs Champion 5K in memory of the late Chief Jeff Wilson, the Eagle Dash Mud Run, and many people may not know that the Farmers Market and the Fall Fest still falls under Civic as well. We also have had several accomplishments throughout the years. In 2016, Teresa was welcomed into the Big Walnut High School Alumni Hall of Fame for her work in the creation of the Sunbury Sizzle and Sound Music Festival. Also, Big Walnut Civic Association was recognized by the Big Walnut Chamber of Commerce for their continued community support. And we thank Nancy for that as well. So all these events and accolades would not be possible today if it wasn't for the council and administration that believed in Teresa way back in 2010. Tommy Hatfield, Dave Breen, Dave Martin, and Joe Guggenhauer were part of that original group that approved the original event. With that, we come tonight to thank Tommy, both Daves and Joe, for the continuous support and counsel throughout the years. We also would like to recognize two of the city's outstanding employees, Daryl Hennessy and Amber Swain, who are both here tonight. Without these two, we would be at a complete loss. They are incredibly kind, approachable, hardworking, and collaborative. They have gone out of their way to help us execute all that we do for Civic. So again, Daryl and Amber, thank you so much for all you've done. Along with the current city administrators and prior council members, we've also had help from the Chamber of Commerce and help from many amazing volunteers and local businesses throughout the years that have rallied behind the cause to help and support our organization and community. Throughout the years, we have reached out to several Big Walnut High School sports teams and asked several musicians to help with the success of Sizzle. We truly appreciate all the local support that enabled us to have such a great success throughout the years. Over the past 4 years or so, our community has grown. Our events have grown as well. Each year, we strive to learn and come up with new ways and ideas to improve these events. We love our community. We feel very blessed and honored to continue to provide these memories for our residents. It has, however, been made apparent to us that a few of our larger events are not fully supported by our local emergency services team, and it has become increasingly difficult to execute both the 4th of July activities as well as the Sunbury Sizzle and Sounds activities due to the constraints the constant obstacles created outside of our control. Therefore, tonight, we come to let the council know that we will no longer be hosting the 4th of July parade, the fireworks, or the Sunbury Sizzle and Sound Music Festival going forward. We feel that these events should be best planned, governed, and executed by the city of Sunbury, along with their partnership of our local emergency services team. We will continue to focus on other areas of the community where we can make the most impact to our citizens. Again, we want to thank everyone who helped support us over the last 15 years, including Tommy Hatfield, Dave Breen, Dave Martin, Joe Guggenhauer, Daryl, and Amber as well. And all of the dedicated volunteers, as well as the many local businesses and all that they have done. We want to thank council here again tonight and our beloved city for allowing us to put on some amazing events. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, I'm just going to move on because and I assume some people knew that was coming. That was completely shocking. I assumed that all city council members. Okay. All right.
If there's any other visitors, then maybe.
Yeah. Any other visitors? All right. We're on the committee reports. Mr. Grumney.
Yes, I have. When we had a lengthy finance committee, packed agenda, took us right up to the wire. Ms. Steffen had a busy evening walking us through, there she is. Walking us through the quarterly investment review. And kind of getting an idea of the city funds and where we're at with the higher than normal interest rates, but warning us that there may be a change around the corner on that, so she's going to keep a close eye. We had a discussion about subcontractors and tax withholdings, making sure that in future developments that subcontractors are paying the taxes due. So specifically the 1% to Rita for all subcontractors will begin being collected for new projects. We had a 2025 draft budget review. Again, a thorough review over a draft, so I certainly appreciate that. We also discussed J.R. Smith Park and the moving forward with that as far as funding, potential funding sources, and getting the ball rolling on try to regain some traction on that particular project. Little Walnut Creek Interceptor conversation that Daryl held, just moving forward with that project as it's something we need. So we're looking at the testing the soil and moving in that direction. And then lastly, our standard year-to-date comparison reports and bank to book reconciliation conducted. So it was very thorough and lengthy meeting with a lot of good things.
Thank you.
Mr. Kaplan? Nothing here.
Mrs. Cooper.
Yes, on August 15th, we had an events and commemorations meeting. We had a permit come forward for the Big Nut Strut, which is an event that we've been having for quite a while, and there was nothing of note with that application. And we also had a permit come forward for the communities at Sunbury and Galena Color Run. This is an event that neighborhood has done historically, but with the inception of this committee and the permit process that the city has, they're complying with the way things are being done now. So we had a representative come. We can talk about it maybe a little bit more in new business because they're asking for some road closures. That's in the new business. And then also we have a citizen recognition nomination, and I think maybe on the 18th, are we thinking maybe September 18th she might come? So yeah, we have that to look forward to in September.
Great.
That was it for that committee. Thanks.
Great. Mr. Martin.
Nothing to report.
Mr. Neff.
The BSTNG fire meeting, I'm gonna defer back. They want to come forward. We'll start out with your report and whatever you want to say, and then I may add in.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Lieutenant Holber, here today to represent BSTNG Fire District and Chief Kovach tonight. We have plans for the new station are in progress. We're reviewing documents. Our bid schedules are legal ad 1 is going to be at the end of this month. Legal ad 2 is going to be on the 7th of September. We have pre-bid meeting starting on the 18th and then bids open on that October 9th with opening to be determined at this time. First half statistics show us about 1% busier than last year. We obviously expect this to increase before the end of the year due to the new apartments and the new residential in the area. They're now renting units and opening. We are currently hiring 1 full-time firefighter to assist with shift shortages at this time. We anticipated hiring next year before Station 2 opens, but we are now accelerating that to open 1 position at this time. We've been working for some time on moving over to the Delaware County IT platform as well. We should go live on the 10/1 of this year. All IT and phone services will be with them and phone numbers will remain the same. That is all I have at this time, unless there's any questions. I can be the best to answer.
To add to that, with that, the goal is still to break ground, still yet this year, with the completion October of next year.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Lieutenant.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. Thank you. All right, we're on to the police report. Howard.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to touch base on some completed work at the new building. You have that in front of you. We were granted temporary occupancy. The only thing outstanding from the complete occupancy permit is the gas line for the new generator. That's in the engineering stage at Columbia Gas. And sorry about that. That's in the new planning stages at Columbia Gas, and that will be hopefully within the next couple weeks, we're going to answer back on that. They have to take the 1.25" service line that we have and put in a, correct me if I'm wrong, Daryl, but a 2-inch line additional.
Yeah, that's what they're talking about.
2-inch, yep. Schedule the upcoming work at the building. I reported last time that the paint was completed, and that had to be held back just because there was some stuff inside that they couldn't get to on the punch list. The cleaning has been done. They're in now. This was actually today doing more finish paint, trying to patch some concrete work. I have Officer Walbacher is going to give you a presentation on some speed sign information, but the last thing I want to mention, we want to thank the Sunbury Eagles and the VFW, the mayor, Daryl. We had our official first flag raising at the new PD this past Monday. Had a really good turnout. We want to give a special thanks to the Eagles. They give us a generous donation of $10,000 to use towards supplies or anything that we may need. Stuff like that they help us with is just I don't think they get enough recognition for what they really do behind the scenes, and I wanted to thank them for that. I wanted to report a little bit on Sizzle, but I think that I just want to leave that go. I thank Daryl for the work that you did with that, coordinating with us. That's all I have, and I'll turn it over to Officer Walbacher.
Officer Lawbacher.
Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to give a little bit of a brief recap on the radar signs that we have. I know I spoke up here earlier, probably a couple months ago now, but just to recap, signs, we have 2 of them. They're placed on street posts or stakes that are put into the ground to measure just what is in the name, speed data. Signs need to be placed on a flat level and straight road in order to accurately obtain the speeds and to record them. Data is collected and then pulled and downloaded into a software that neatly presents it and makes it easier to read. Current sign positions, the stake was just installed on Walnut Street on 8/19, and the sign is up and running as of 8/20. I know that there was a complaint that was made about excessive speed on Walnut Street. So I'll leave it up there for a couple weeks, put it in different modes, covert mode that I had talked about, see if that makes any difference. Right now it is displaying speed. So as cars pass, it should show them the speed limit that they are going. Once the 2 weeks is done, it'll be moved. Kids are back in school now. We're going to be placing them in school zones. Just so that way we can have data with the kids coming and going from school. The second sign is placed on Southold 3C northbound. So down there by Big Walnut Elementary School, the vehicles coming into the school zone. It's actually placed right there on the blinking school zone sign. It's directly below it. So hopefully those flashing lights, as well as the posted speed that they're traveling at, should get their attention and hopefully make them slow down before entering the school zone. I do want to touch on some data that was pulled. Recently, the signs were in a construction zone. There are construction zone going in off of Sunbury Meadows. They were there, and the southbound average was an average of 683 cars per day with an average of 182 violators. The posted speed limit and on that road is 25 miles an hour. And there's a top speed reached of 53 miles an hour. Northbound, there's an average of 684 cars per day and an average of 196 violators per day, with a top speed of 51 miles an hour. And I do want to say that that was not a police cruiser. That was in emergency mode, running lights and sirens. I went back and looked at the calls, and there were no cruisers that should have been traveling in that area with emergency lights and siren activated. So my best guess would be that it would be a citizen or everyday driver. Now, with that being said, that was just the fastest recorded speed while it was hung in that time. Varying speeds anywhere between the posted speed limit and 51 and 53 miles an hour were also recorded during that time. We are in the process of training other officers to assist with these signs. Officer Collins and Officer Blanton are currently working with me. Luckily, we work the same shift, so that kind of works out. But I'm training them in the process right now on how to relocate the signs. I'm still in charge of pulling the data and fielding complaints on, where we have speeding complaints, and having them move the signs to those places. Eventually, they will be trained to pull the data, have the same functions as I do. But right now, we're just getting them settled in and a basic understanding on how to move the signs. This is basically to assist the request of speed sign placements as the community continues to grow. The radar program moving forward, I do want to touch on the direction that it's heading. I spoke with Deputy Chief Wade, and we're working on purchasing 2 more signs for the city. I don't know exactly where that's at, but we're just working on trying to get that across the finish line. So that way we can add to the availability to place the signs several different places at once, other than the just 2 locations that we have. Not to mention, school plus everyday life, people call in and say, hey, I excessive speeders down my road all the time. So the more signs that we have, we'll be able to better accommodate those needs. Does anybody have any questions on the radar signs or in general?
It's effective to reduce speeding, or I'm hearing those numbers.
Yeah, I mean, with that being a 25 zone, it's a residential area. And the fact that it was a construction zone, there's orange barrels out and about. The sidewalk was closed. I believe actually it still is closed to where they can't, nobody can walk through. I mean, people are going to speed. 51 and 53 miles an hour, that's excessive. That's uncalled for. When things like that do happen, what we can do is we can add extra patrols into our CAD system, where it basically lets the other officers know, hey, this is an area, this is the data we pulled, hone in on this area, because, whether they see the sign and they're deciding, you know what, I'm going to try and, get the top score for the speed, or if they do see it and truly do slow down. 182 violators out of 683, I'd have to go back and look to see what speeds they actually were going, but a majority of them, technically a violation is 26 and a 25 zone. So, with that being said, they mainly fluctuate 5 over. That's where a majority of the violations occur from, but there is some vehicles such as the one who's doing 53, and a little bit lower that we need to take into consideration and, catch them speeding. So.
When it goes into dark mode,
Mhm.
do you see a reduction on those top speeds?
No, actually, no, we don't. With the sign displaying their speed, we have far less violations, or if there is a violation, it's down in between that 5 to 10 over the posted speed limit sign. Any other questions?
Any other questions? I'd asked Chief Howard to see if we can get this included, the data that Officer Lawbucker covered today and the program in general on a monthly basis. Just a summary. And, if we can see you on a quarterly basis, that's great. But I know this is not necessarily your normal hours of operation.
Absolutely, yeah.
You should be just waking up and having breakfast right
That's
now.
right. That's right.
But thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
It's great to hear that you're training additional officers too, so there's continuity. I like the investment. And just a little bit of context into Sunbury Meadows Drive. We are working on a road diet. If you want to know what a road diet is, we're going to visually bring in the road. We're adding parking, a dual median line on Sunbury Meadows. And this was baseline data that we've been attempting to capture. So we want to be able to measure the before and the after effect once the striping is complete. And we expect that to be done this year. Great. Thank you very much, Officer.
Thank you.
Anything else, Chief Howard?
I just want to apologize for this beeping.
Oh, it's okay. You don't have to explain.
It's my
Okay.
glucose monitor.
Oh, it's fine. And if you need to step away or
Hey, get
go,
some
feel free.
Yeah.
I just don't want it. If it goes off again, I will leave and
No problem.
try to figure it out.
You're good. All right, you're on to, sorry, any questions for Chief Al? All right, we're on to the administrator report.
All right, so just a couple of quick updates on the municipal building. We do have our occupancy permit. Furniture was delivered yesterday and today, was assembled. We're transferring over the computer network to the upstairs. So staff have already started to move to the upstairs space. But by the end of the week, I think we'll be fully upstairs. So if you get a chance, come by, say hello. The one piece of furniture, we're waiting for a few side chairs and we're waiting for the conference table. But other than that, we do have the furniture in the building as well. So there still are a few punch list items as well. So it's not 100% complete, but again, we'll be occupying it 100% by the end of the week.
Is there an open house planned?
In here, I did indicate we're looking for open houses for both the police department and the municipal building on September 12th and 26th. We just need to do a little bit more coordinating on that. So those are the dates. So I would encourage you to hold those. We're looking for a 4 to 6 window. So 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. to do this open house. So I want to encourage the public to attend, as well as maybe some others who generally do business with the city. So. And then a couple of other things, we will provide an update on our tax increment financing projects. We have 4 active projects. I do identify them in here, active during 2023, that will provide some level of update to. The good news is on Hitachi and Moomin Roofing, both of those are showing increases in income tax payments to the city of Ohio, or to the city. The plaza is a little bit harder
gather that data. But anyway, so generally good news on that front. The street program, for the most part, the mill and fill portion of the project is done. There's still some cleanup work to be done, some pouring through the curbs, basically the repairing of the drain pipes that lead to the street, some turf work as well. And then we've asked the contractor to give us a little bit more information on a couple of 10 storm drains that are sagging. Just get a little bit of pricing on that to see if we can do it within this year's budget or not. So we'll be back with that. And on the wastewater treatment plant, we did have 3 companies attend the pre-bid meeting yesterday. So good sign, good news on that, I think. I'm not saying we're going to get 3 bids, but we at least have 3 contractors showing some interest.
That's it. Any questions or comments for Mr. Hennessy?
Generally on the street program, have we gotten any complaints or any comments on the quality? Because I know the streets I've been driving on look great, but just curious.
Yeah, most of the feedback hasn't necessarily been on the quality of the work, which is good. Certainly some feedback in terms of just the level of communication with the residents.
Sure.
Can always improve upon that for sure. So,
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're under the engineer's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you. So there's about 35 or so projects on this list. I won't read them all. I think, there's also many more that we're working on, so quite a bit going on. I didn't get to hear your conversation on J.R. Smith at the meeting, except for just bits and pieces. We do have and I don't know if this was said or not, but we do have a shot at the phasing plan, and we need to go over that. But I don't think it's all doom and gloom. I think we can get something done with that for sure. It's a matter of, as with everything else in the world, money. But I look forward to talking to you all about that. And the survey boundary issue, the mayor is 90% resolved. I don't think that's going to be an issue. So we've got that taken care of.
Great, thank you.
I heard the talk about the geotech borings at Little Walnut Creek. The reason we have to do that is because in order to serve the tributary area that sewer serves, the sewer is 30 feet plus deep. At that depth, you don't know what you might be running into as far as rock or, hard rock or some difficult to excavate material. So we need to make sure we clarify that because it has huge impact on the costs. But the design is actually very far along, and this is one of the things we need to verify the project and its cost potential. Safe streets for all. All I'm noting here is I made a mistake. I said that the planning meeting was held 8:20. That's not true. It's going to be held tomorrow. So I was a little wrong on that. East Granville Road widening, we're moving forward with that on survey work and environmental work here in the next week or so we can start defining that project a little bit better and get a larger, better idea of what's happening with that, what the scope of that project will be. And we had completed the PACER evaluations for all the roads in the city. And with that, we're working with Carla to look at the 2025 program and make the OPWC application this year so we can get that accomplished. And we'll be doing that here over the next few weeks. From a private development standpoint, there's really not a whole lot to discuss other than we're working with a certain developer on a couple projects with cleaning up a few issues. I won't go into the detail of that, but we're kind of trying to finalize that. 2 additional things. I'm going to have to bail. I got a little family emergency. I need to leave here after the meeting, but I do want to say thank you. This is the last report I'll give as the engineer's report, and I'm smiling. But at the same time, I want to say I really appreciate everything. Appreciate being able to talk with you and talk about these things, and look forward to watching Carla do it in the future. Any questions?
Any questions?
Thank you for all your hard work. Sure. Appreciate the presentations. Absolutely.
The best.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
Put that on your end of your review. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're on to resolutions, no third readings. We do have a second reading, resolution number 2024.13, a resolution supporting implementation of a safe transportation system to eliminate roadway fatalities and serious injuries, and to complete a roadway safety action plan as part of the Safe Streets and Roads for All grant from the Federal Highway Administration. Second reading. First reading, resolution number 2024.14, a resolution authorizing the Director of Finance to submit assessment certificates to the Delaware County Auditor. We are on to ordinances. Third reading, ordinance number 2024.01.02, second amendment, and ordinance amending the 2024 annual appropriations. We're looking for a motion to approve.
Motion.
Got a motion by Mr. Martin,
Second.
second by Mr. Capel. Discussion. Roll call.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Capel.
Yes.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper.
Yes.
6 yeas.
All right, this is a second reading, ordinance number 2024.20, an ordinance consenting to the Ohio Department of Transportation resurfacing and pavement repair project along US I-70, did this last time, US 71 within the city of Sunbury. Ordinance number 2024.21, a second reading, an ordinance approving the execution of a pre-annexation agreement with Lou Ann Medellin and Diamond Resources Corporation and Wilcox Community LLC and declaring an emergency. We have a first reading, ordinance number 2024.22, to impose a moratorium on the issuance and processing of permits that would allow the cultivation, processing, and retail dispensing of adult use cannabis within the city of Sunbury, Ohio, and declaring an emergency. This is a first reading. All right, we are on to new and unfinished business. I'm going to go through these items first. Communities at Sunbury, Galena, Color Run Road closure. Saw the application in our packet, OneDrive.
Right, so they do their color run around the pool area, so they're looking to close down temporarily Red Shank and a portion of Sunbury Meadows. And by the time the permits get to the event committee, they have already been through staff, PD, and fire. So I would like to make a motion for that road closure,
A
please.
motion by Mrs. Cooper, second by Mr. Neff. Discussion. Roll call.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mr. Capel.
Yes.
6 yeas.
Let's go to new and unfinished business. Mr. Grumney.
I'd just like to make a comment, I guess, about what we heard.
Yes.
From the Big Walnut Civic Association. So I don't normally like to get wrapped up into this kind of stuff, but I would just clearly like to say I was disappointed with that approach and with that message. I unfortunately, because there was no detail given to what the dispute or discrepancy was, I'm only left to make assumptions. I know I was personally involved with understanding about some the beer garden seating and some possible dangers of putting residents in and by allowing chairs. So I believe it was the fire department, police department, along with the city agreeing that it could pose a risk to the citizens of Sunbury to allow so. So I'll never question the judgment of our security officers, whether it's fire or police, on what's best for our residents and their safety. So I'm sorry that there was no detailed opportunity to ask questions or have a civil conversation, rather it was just a message. But, the real losers are the citizens of Sunbury. I'm sorry for that they lose out. Again, I wish there was an opportunity to ask questions. Typically, when something like this happens, you'd have a post-event analysis to maybe discuss changes for next year and what might be permissible or not permissible. We weren't given that opportunity, which is very disappointing. I don't think it was a good way to handle that. And I'm disappointed in the Big Walnut Civic Associations, how that was handled, and certainly hope in the future there is a working relationship, but I think that was handled very poorly in my opinion.
Thank you. Mr. Capel.
Nothing here.
Mrs. Cooper.
Nothing tonight.
Mr. Martin.
It's good to be back. That's all I want
Glad
to
to have you
say.
back.
Had a great time in Ireland, so.
Mr. Neff.
Nothing to report.
We are going to have the need, we do have the need for an executive session per Ohio Revised Code, section 122.22 G3. Conferences with an attorney for the public body concerning disputes involving the public body that are the subject of pending or imminent court action. I'd like to make that motion and, do I have a second?
Second.
We got a second by Mrs. Cooper. We will have a need for Mr. Hennessy and, Mr. Bream, I believe, and that should be it, Mr. Hennessy and Mr. Bream, correct? All right. We got a motion in a second discussion. We do not expect to take action, when we come back.
It's possible we could have an action, but we're unsure. Depends.
Okay, sounds good. All right, roll call.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mr. Capel.
Yes.
Yeas?
Reconvene at, 8:22.
You know, there's times I hate that I'm sitting
All right, just a second.
Motion to reconvene.
Second.
Second by Mr. Drummond. Roll call.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
6 yeas.
We do have an action that we need to take. And I will need a little bit of assistance with the language.
There's a motion to authorize Attorney Aaron Brogdon to file civil proceedings to enforce the settlement agreement for the conveyance of Vernon Street extended.
I'd like to make that motion.
And I'd like to second it.
Second by Mr. Martin. Discussion. Roll call.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
6 yeas. Motion approved.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second by Mr. Capel. Discussion. Roll call.
Mayor St. John,
Yes.
Mr. Capel,
Yes.
Mr. Neff,
Yes.
Mr. Grumney,
Yes.
Mrs. Cooper,
Yes.
Mr. Martin,
Yes.
6 yeas. We are adjourned.